And welcome, sports fans, to today's Sports Roundtable. Glad you joined us here on Saturday morning as we will bring the Sports Roundtable live each Saturday, live at 10 a.m. right here on Channel 21, also at yhctv.com and Facebook Live. And we are a couple of weeks into the fall sports season here for Southeast Missouri and Northeast Arkansas. So it's a very exciting time to get into the sports season. Football underway for 2 weeks already. Now 1 week for Arkansas as they got underway with their season last night. So a lot of action to get to, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. We're also going to touch on some high school volleyballs taking place in the area, high school girls tennis, and girls softball also getting underway here in the last couple of weeks. So a lot of action taking place in the area, and we're going to recap a lot of it here for you each Saturday live at 10 a.m. for the Sports Roundtable, and even bring you highlights of the games that we broadcast here on your hometown channel. So first getting into we're going to touch on some high school football state rankings. The first state rankings for high school football for Missouri were released, and also we're going to touch on some college football getting underway today. Also, it's all has gotten underway the last few nights, but full slate of games here on Saturday. Our local teams, A-State and Southeast Missouri State, getting underway with their seasons this weekend as well. So we'll touch on that a little later in the show as well. So a lot to get to here locally. So let's start off with the games that we had last night in the area, and the game we brought to you here on YHC last night. Dexter over Salem, 28-20. Impressive victory for the Bearcats last night, having to come from behind to secure that victory. Went down all the way till the end between these two teams, and I think it was 14-6 at halftime. And a really nice second half by the Bearcats to surge ahead and take advantage of some miscues from the Salem Tigers late in the game. And let's go ahead and go into the highlights let's go to the highlights from last night, taking a look. And here's starting off a nice pass to the right side. Salem on their first scoring drive here, going to punch it in. Going to punch it in from the 1 to get on the board to go up 7-0 with an extra point here in the ensuing kickoff. Nate Gargas on the return, gets hit from behind, fumbles, turns it over to the Tigers. Now the Tigers get stood up here. Nice defense up front by the Bearcats. And Salem traditionally running that wishbone offense, and Dexter really snuffing it out on this drive. Nice penetration into the backfield. Now a little reverse, getting to the outside. They punch it in for another touchdown and go up to 14-0 after the extra point. Now Dexter coming back, and Corbin Strong with a great run into Salem Tiger territory. And at the quarter break, they switch sides, and nice run here inside the 5 as Dexter will finally punch it in here. Corbin Strong takes it in for the touchdown, getting the Bearcats on the board. A blocked extra point attempt makes it 14-6. And we see here Salem on a drive. Nice tackle there. And here the Bearcats back with the ball. And Caleb Hoggard with a tough run. He had quite a few tough runs last night. And getting to the action here. Nice defense in the backfield by Salem for that tackle for loss here. Nice pass by Driscoll, hitting the open man down the field for the first down for a long passing play there. And here's one of the interesting plays of the night. Nate Gargas gets the ball off the carpet, off the deflected off the drop pass, and we see here, there's where the miscues come in right at the goal line. Keena jumps on the ball in the end zone and gets a touchdown, and on the very next Salem possession, another punt mishandled, and Keena secures it again inside the 10. And at the quarter break, they switch sides, and Driscoll looks for Nate Gargas in the end zone, pulls it down for the touchdown. And nice pass and catch from Driscoll to Gargas on that one. Next drive for the Salem Tigers into Dexter territory. And now a run for the pile-on, gets the touchdown to make it a 21-20 game after a blocked extra attempt. So Dexter still has the lead. Now Corbin Strong punches it in for a late touchdown in the fourth quarter. Now Salem desperation time under 2 minutes, having the length of the field to go. Nice sack by Braxton Foster. And here a deep pass on a 4th down secured by the Tigers. They're into Dexter territory now. Now looking to score here in the last few seconds. Nice defense by the Bearcats. And one last play left for the Tigers. Attempted pass towards the end zone, out of bounds. And that's the game right there as the Dexter Bearcats secure the victory 28-20. And a great game last night. Dexter got down early, 14-0, and things just weren't going well for the Bearcats. Salem moving the ball up the field, which that wishbone offense, very tough to defend, especially the way that Salem executes that year in and year out. And Dexter really answered in the second half, come up with some offense, took advantage of those miscues on special teams off of punts from Salem, punched those in for touchdowns, actually scored a touchdown on one of those recoveries, and punched the other one in inside the 10. And that was the turning point of the game. Salem had some miscues off those punts, and Dexter took advantage. Keena was all over those plays. He got through the line and secured those recoveries, one for a touchdown and one set him up inside the 10. So a great effort on his part to really make the turning point in that game last night. So come down to the very end. Very exciting game, very exciting atmosphere for Dexter's home opener. And we'll talk more about that replay, which you can watch coming up this weekend here on YHC. And take a look at the other games we had last night. And we were down in Piggott for Jonesboro Westside and Piggott for Piggott's season opener. And we were unable to bring that live last night. Just learned that we had the network was down there at the press box in Piggott, so we were unable to bring that live to our viewers on the website at yhctv.com, but we'll have plenty of replays starting actually later today through the weekend. We'll talk about that in a moment, but Piggott falls to Westside 37-16, and a tough outing for the Piggott Mohawks. Tough Westside team there to open up with last night, but we'll be looking forward to the Piggott Mohawks for the remainder of the season. And just a tough one to open up with, 37-16 loss to Westside last night. And also Portageville over Grandview, big up in Hillsboro. That was 50-20 for the Portageville Bulldogs, getting their first win of the year. Gosnell, Arkansas hands Kennett their first loss as Kennett come off of a Week 1 victory over Fredericktown on the road to Gosnell and took that loss 24-8. Very good program there in Gosnell. They're in Northeast Arkansas. Kennett kept it respectable, but just took the loss on the road last night. New Madrid County Central over East Prairie, and what a game that was, 60-38. The New Madrid County Central Eagles piling up over 100 points in the last 2 weeks. Scored 50 last week and 60 this week with East Prairie. New Madrid certainly got the offense this year, got the athletes, position players playing very well. Johnny Walker had a big night last night, 139 reception yards. And we'll talk more about the Eagles in our next segment. But Eagles getting off to a great start so far. Hayti over Charleston, big 70-8. And Hayti really rolling over the Charleston Blue Jays. We'll talk more in depth about that game in our next segment. But Hayti, look out for these. Hayti Indians, one of the best teams in the area, pretty much regardless of class. Looking really good early on. Thayer over Doniphan, 52-14. McClure North over Sykeston, 7-0. Hardly any scoring in that one, but McClure North getting that victory and shutting out Sykeston up in St. Louis last night. Crothersville over Malden in a classic Week 2 matchup going back a number of years, but Crothersville getting the better of Malden, 49-18. Dominant victory for the Tigers, and Crothersville looking good to repeat as district champions in that Class 2 District 1. So far, they've gotten out to a good start at 2-0. Jackson over Parkway North, 35-0 in a shutout victory, and Jordan Kent having a big game, 5 reception touchdowns. Also, Kel Welker, another great night for him passing. We'll talk more about that a little later. Kelly over Crystal City, 31-0 shutout victory for the Kelly Hawks. Scott City over St. Vincent, 49-14. Scott City having a big offensive night against St. Vincent. Kabul over Chaffee in a shutout, 42-0. And Poplar Bluff over Riverview Gardens, 47-20. Dominant victory for the Poplar Bluff Mules over Riverview Gardens last night. And we're going to roll into some high school volleyball that took place over the last few days. And in tournament play, Woodland over Oak Ridge in 2 sets. Also, Leopold over Oak Ridge in 2 sets. Saxony Lutheran over Woodland in 3 sets. And Leopold over Saxony Lutheran in 3 sets. And in other games over the last, I think this is going back to Thursday, or actually that's a Friday night result there. Advance over Richland in 2 sets. Malden over South Pemiscot in 3 sets in Thursday night. Jackson over Dexter Thursday night in 2 sets here at Dexter. Kennett over Charleston in 2 straight sets. And heading into high school softball, going back to Thursday, Naylor over East Prairie 12-0 in a shutout. Fredericktown over Saxony Lutheran 16-9. Jackson over Perryville 6-2. Poplar Bluff over Sykeston 4-2. And into girls high school tennis, Dexter defeating Cape Central in 5 matches to 4. Kennett over Jackson 8 matches to 1. Poplar Bluff over Sykeston 8 matches to 1. And those are the fall sports results from the last few days. And we're going to touch on our replays of high school football. You can watch Salem versus Dexter. That replay coming up later today, Saturday, here on Saturday at noon. Also Sunday at 4. Saturday at noon and Sunday at 4. And we're going to have that full game uploaded to yhctv.com today. Currently, we've got the second half, which we weren't able to go live until the second half last night. And later on today, we'll have the full game available on our website at yhctv.com. So thriller down to the end, Salem and Dexter. Catch that replay here today, Saturday at noon and Sunday at 4. And the Westside and Pickett game, we're actually going to try to get that going up today since we didn't bring it live last night. Saturday later on this evening at 5. Saturday at 5, and then also Sunday at 7 and Tuesday at 6:30. Westside versus Pickett, that replay from Parker Field last night. So catch that all this weekend as well here on YHC. We'll also get that uploaded to yhctv.com probably late Saturday. And those are the games from last night. And we're going to take a break and come back with basically a little bit more storylines from those games last night in the area. We're going to touch on some more statistics and performances from the games last night. And we're going to come back with that in just a moment. So don't go away.
A Glen St. story. A few years ago, a good friend of ours ran for a state legislative office. The night of the election, Gail and I had some friends and family over. Our friend won. His young son looked at him and said, "Dad, since you won, does that mean you can make duck season longer?" That's a good story. Best price, best service. Glen St., God bless our troops.
The best service in air conditioning. It's AirTech Heating and Air in Dexter. They service both commercial and residential customers and provide additional services including plumbing, electrical, and appliance repair. AirTech is a Carrier factory authorized dealer, and currently Carrier is offering cool cash rebates, providing you extra savings towards a new AC unit. AirTech has served the area as a family business since 1960, now led by NATE certified Jason Johnson. He holds the highest certification in the heating, cooling, and refrigeration industry. Call today to get the expert service of AirTech in Dexter.
At Ag Explore, we're farmers too. So we know that farming's never been a 9-to-5 job. Just like the farmer, we work overtime to bring you whatever it takes. Solutions like InZone help you retain 47% more nitrogen, with an overall average increase of 12 bushels per acre. Imagine what InZone can do for you. Ag Explore.
All right, welcome back and take a look at some headlines from last night, notably with the Dexter game defeating Salem in that game we broadcast last night here on YHC. And comeback win for the Bearcats, 28-20. Got down 14-0 early in the game. Really took advantage of some miscues last night from the Salem Tigers and secure that victory 28-20 to get Dexter's first win of the year. So a great run by Dexter late in the game to secure that victory. And I think they will take on New Madrid County Central next week. And New Madrid putting up a lot of points early on this year, over 100 points, 50 in the first week, 60 last week. Should be a good matchup between those two. With New Madrid and Dexter. And Dexter gotten the better of New Madrid over the last good number of years. New Madrid's had a tough way, but should be one of the better Week 3 matchups next week over in New Madrid. And take a look at some other games. Pickett falling to Westside Jonesboro and their season opener. And we're going to have that replay for you this weekend. But so a lot of experience coming back from Pickett, notably quarterback Trey Gossett. Coming back as a senior quarterback, his third year starting for the Mohawks, and quite a bit lost from that team last year as well, though. Had quite a few defensive players and even offensive running backs that's going to be out for the Mohawks, and going to have to bring up some underclassmen to play up this year that hadn't got a whole lot of varsity senior high minutes, so we'll see what goes forward for the Mohawks going forward. And Jackson rolling over Parkway North last night, and big performances out of some Jackson Indians last night. Jordan Kent with 5 receiving touchdowns. He had 9 receptions for 275 yards. Unreal. Jordan Kent really going off with 5 receiving touchdowns, and matching those touchdowns is Cale Welker with 5 passing touchdowns, and he went 17 of 28 for 366 yards. Through the air. Cale Welker really lighting it up along with Jordan Kent. That was a great tandem last night against Parkway North, and we'll probably see a lot of that later for the remainder of the year. Jordan Kent or Cale Welker to Jordan Kent. And that's a lot of touchdowns in one game. 5 receiving and 5 passing touchdowns for Welker and Kent. So look out for that duo going forward this season. And Scott City really dominates St. Vincent in that victory last night. 555 yards of offense. Really racking up the yards on the offensive side. Scott City rolling over St. Vincent Friday night. New Madrid County Central winning their 2nd straight. And it's been quite some time since they had 2 straight victories, as they've really had some lean years here in the last handful of years. Coming back strong. Great performance last week against Malden. Defeating Malden in a high-scoring affair, 50-40, and defeating East Prairie in another high-scoring affair, 60-38, over 100 points in 2 weeks for the Eagles. And Johnny Walker having a big game, 139 reception yards on just 3 receptions, and a lot of good balanced attack out of the Eagles this year. You know, it's not just one guy or Walker or any of the couple others that they've got just racking up the yards and the carries and the receptions. They've actually got a really good balanced attack in the position, skill positions at receiver and running back. So very balanced team there with the offense for the Eagles. And we'll see how they fare going forward. But a great start, one of the best starts they've had in years there at New Madrid County Central. Off to a great start. East Prairie had some nice performers. Derez Tipler, 6 receptions for 151 yards. Carson Acock passed for over 300 yards. He was 16 of 33 for 386 yards and 3 touchdowns. Great night passing for Carson Acock for the East Prairie Eagles. And moving on, Hayti rolling over Charleston, and we're going to say that quite often this season. The Hayti Indians just roll over the Charleston Blue Jays 70-8, and Ivory Winters, probably the top talent in the area this year, with already a commitment to Indiana University, and you never know, he might get some better offers going forward the way he's going to play this fall. And scored 5 touchdowns in that game last night. 13 carries for 182 yards, and going for 5 touchdowns last night in Hayti. So Ivory Winters just tearing it up last night, and we'll probably say that quite often this year with the Hayti Indians. They've got a great chance to go far in state tournament play this season. And also Sykeston, that's an old one there, but those are the storylines from last night. And a lot of great performers out there, as we saw Jordan Kent, Kel Welker of Jackson, Ivory Winters of Hayti, Johnny Walker of New Madrid County Central, and also for Dexter, Corbin Strong had over 100 yards rushing last night. Great night for him. And Peyton Driscoll really stepping in as a backup quarterback as a sophomore. Really played an efficient night last night, took care of the ball, moved the ball down the field when they needed the nice passing plays. So some really good performances across the area last night, and looks forward makes you anxious for the next week. See what happens in week 3 of Missouri high school football next week, and next week will be the second week for Arkansas high school football. And we're going to take another break and be back with some state rankings for high school football. Those were released this week for the first polls, and we'll be back with that coming up.
When you connect with high-speed internet from New Wave Communications, you unlock all kinds of possibilities. More gaming, more streaming and viewing, more ways to keep in touch, more ways to learn. And best of all, adding New Wave internet to your current television package won't cost a lot more thanks to New Wave's bundle discounts. In fact, if you're paying another provider for internet, switching to New Wave will probably save you money. Call or go to newwavecom.com to find more ways to bundle and save.
And welcome back, and take a look at the first Missouri high school football state rankings. And we'll start with Class 1 and Valley Catholic. No surprise, they're up there at the top. They are coming into this week 1-0 after 1 week of play, and they're going to be right there contending for another state championship. 2, Western. 3, Hamilton Penny. 4, Marceline. 5, East Buchanan. 6, Lincoln. 7, Fayette. 8, the Hayti Indians. 9, Adrian. And 10, Pierce City. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Hayti move up that poll quickly in the next few weeks, as they've been pretty dominant. But those teams up there in the top 3 or 4 are pretty perennial powers in Class 1 with Valley, Western, Hamilton Penny, Marceline. Those are always up there at the top. So Hayti will probably have a tough time really cracking that top 3 or 4 if those teams keep winning and stay undefeated. But I think Hayti is going to be there in the mix, and Hayti and Valley could be a big matchup coming up later in the year. I think they share the same district, if I'm not mistaken. They might share the same district. If not, they'll match up in the quarterfinal round. So that'll be exciting coming down to the end of the year to see how that might play out between Valley and Hayti. In Class 2, Lamar, I think they're working on their 7th straight state championship this year, and I think they have the longest winning streak in the nation. I think I was reading that in the preseason. I think they've got about I think they brought in a 46-game winning streak into this year, and I think that might be the most in the nation. It's just been an unbelievable run by Lamar, and I think they are working on their 7th straight title. They either have 7 or they're working on their 7th. Either way, it's starting to lose count when you got to go to 2 hands to count their number of state championships consecutively. Very impressive run by Lamar, and of course they're at number 1 until somebody can knock them off. Number 2, Blair Oaks. 3, Monroe City. 4, Lutheran North. 5, Lafayette County. 6, Clark County. 7, Lathrop. 8, Lexington. 9, Lawson. And 10, Ava. And those are the top 10 for Class 2. And in Class 3, Trinity Catholic at number 1 took an opening season loss. Not sure that was too, but might lose their top ranking after this week. 2, Odessa. 3, Cardinal Ritter. 4, Mount Vernon. 5, Maryville. 6, Lutheran South. 7, Center. 8, Eldon. 9, St. Clair. And 10, Springfield Catholic. And moving to Class 4, Webb City on top at number 1. They won the state championship last year after, I think they had about a 5 or 6 year stretch where they won them straight in a row, then 2 years not winning at all. And then last year finally winning another state championship. So a little drought for Webb City over a couple years, but they're back on top of that Class 4, number 1. 2, Kearney, actually one of the teams they lost to a couple years ago in the state championship. 3, Ladue. 4, Platte County. 5, Camden. 6, Country Day. 7, West Plains. 8, Smithville. 9, Carla Junction. And 10, Jeff City Helias. And Class 5, Staley on top of number 1, 2, Fort Osage, 3, Fort Zumwalt North, 4, Vianney, 5, Battle, 6, Carthage, 7, Park Hill South, 8, Chaminade, 9, Raytown, and 10, Timberland. And those are your state rankings for classes 1 through 5. There is a class 6, but they're all in the metro areas, St. Louis, Kansas City, Columbia, so really don't pertain to us here in southeast Missouri. And those are your rankings. And not, we only got one team there in the top 10, and Hayti across all those classes. We might see Crothersville if they really fare well and get some dominant victories there in Class 2. Might see them itching there in that top 10. Other than that, teams going to work their way in this year. Had quite a really good year last year in high school football throughout the area, especially among the larger schools. And so we saw some of those rosters deplete a little bit to seniors graduating, so that's probably why we're not seeing very many Southeast Missouri teams represented in those polls so far, with the exception of Hayti. But they're going to play their way into those top 10. That's just the way it is. You move out a lot of seniors. Rosters don't look as as impressive as they did in years past. So just got to play your way in and impress those sports writers, and we'll see if we get some more SEMO teams represented in the top 10 polls going forward. And we're going to take our last break, and we're going to come back with a little college football preview. We got college football kicking off this weekend, and we'll touch on the local teams and how they're going to be participating this weekend, and we'll be back with that coming up.
A Glen St. story. A few years ago, a good friend of ours ran for a state legislative office. The night of the election, Gail and I had some friends and family over. Our friend won. His young son looked at him and said, "Dad, since you won, does that mean you can make duck season longer?" That's a good story. Best price, best service. Glen St., God bless our troops.
For the best service in air conditioning, it's AirTech Heating in Salem-Dexter. They service both commercial and residential customers and provide additional services including plumbing, electrical, and appliance repair. AirTech is a Carrier factory authorized dealer, and currently Carrier is offering cool cash rebates, providing you extra savings towards a new AC unit. AirTech has served the area as a family business since 1960, now led by NATE certified Jason Johnson. He holds the highest certification in the heating, cooling, and refrigeration industry. Call today to get the expert service of AirTech in Dexter.
And welcome back, and let's take a look at some college football taking place this weekend in across the nation. And first, taking a look at talk about the Missouri Tigers. Missouri Tigers will host. I don't have it on the thing, but I was going to mention it. The Missouri Tigers host UT Martin. UT Martin out of the Ohio Valley Conference today. That'll be at 3 o'clock this afternoon on the SEC Network. And Mizzou is 35-point favorites. So hopefully they can make good of that over the afternoon against UT Martin. And playing a very diminished team out of the OVC, Ohio Valley Conference. Oh, excuse me. And take a look at some games across the nation today. Oregon State at 5th-ranked Ohio State, and of course the storyline of Ohio State isn't necessarily their team. Urban Meyer had a really tough couple of weeks dealing with some dispute there in the athletic department about an assistant coach in a domestic abuse situation that he may or may not have reported accurately. It looked like he didn't report accurately, but he is suspended for the first 3 games of the season. So no Urban Meyer on the sideline for the next 3 weeks as he will return in week 4. But, quite a bit of distraction there in Ohio State. We'll see how that plays out on the season as they're going to be going for another national title. And certainly going to be the distraction all year with that. So we'll see what happens. Florida Atlantic at 7th-ranked Oklahoma. Interesting matchup there. Lane Kiffin's Florida Atlantic had a really great year last year on the road taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. Furman at 2nd-ranked Clemson. 6th-ranked Washington at 9th-ranked Auburn. Big Non-conference matchup there, probably the best matchup. Two top 10 teams going at it at Auburn this afternoon. 17th ranked West Virginia at Tennessee. Big opportunity for Tennessee to get a win over a ranked opponent on their home field. 14th ranked Michigan at 12th ranked Notre Dame. That'll be on NBC later on today, and that's a big matchup. Michigan got O'Shea Robinson this year playing quarterback, and they really missed a really good quarterback over the years at Michigan, so we'll see if they can get off to a good start with a big win over Notre Dame on the road this evening on NBC. Louisville at top-ranked Alabama, and that's probably going to be a bloodbath as Alabama is, they're 24-point favorites, Alabama over Louisville, and we'll see that quarterback situation, how that plays out today. That was a big storyline for the Crimson Tide coming off that national championship last year where Tua Tagovailoa, I think it's his name, come in and lit it up in the second half after they benched Jalen Hurts, who had been starting quarterback for the previous 2 years, and we'll see what happens. I think Tua is going to be the starter over Hurts, but you might see a dual quarterback kind of thing throughout the game. So we'll see what happens this afternoon in Tuscaloosa. 8th ranked Miami at 25th ranked LSU. Big matchup there. Non-conference matchup there in Baton Rouge. 20th ranked Virginia Tech at 19th ranked Florida State. And that's a nice ranked matchup between those. And I think that Miami LSU game's on Sunday night or Sunday. And I believe the Virginia Tech and Florida State game is on Monday. And Eastern Illinois is at Arkansas today. Arkansas big favorites in that one. Arkansas Razorbacks got an easy one at home there at Fayetteville later on today. And our local teams are matching up against each other today down at A-State. SEMO is at Arkansas State, and a nice matchup between those two. They don't play out in the same division. SEMO's in the championship subdivision, and Arkansas State's in the bowl series. So, we'll see what happens there. Don't see those two teams match up often, and they'll be matching up in Jonesboro later on this afternoon. So those are the college football matchups taking place today. We've got 1 week until the NFL season gets underway, and that'll be Thursday night. Next Thursday night will be the Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Atlanta Falcons on Thursday night on NBC, and that's the traditional kickoff on Thursday night of Week 1. The defending champion always hosts the first game on a Thursday night, and believe it or not, Philadelphia Eagles, defending world champions. Unbelievable to say that, but it's going to be a good matchup. Atlanta, very good team, a playoff team last year, Super Bowl. I represented the NFC in the Super Bowl 2 years ago and infamously lost that 28-3 lead. But a playoff team last year. Might see Atlanta bounce back this year. That offense kind of fluttered last year after being a top 10 all-time offense just a few years ago, and with Steve Sarkisian taking over the offensive coordinator position for Kyle Shanahan, that offense just wasn't the same last year, and we'll see if they bounce back and play at a more consistent level offensively this year, because the defense really stepped up a bigger role last year from 2 years ago. So that'll be a good matchup opening night in Philadelphia, and likely Nick Foles will get the start. Carson Wentz is coming off that knee injury late in the season last year, so he's probably got a few weeks still to recover to come back. So I would expect Nick Foles, at Super Bowl MVP, to make the start for the Eagles, but he really has struggled in the preseason. Really, the Eagles have struggled, not only Nick Foles, but we'll see what happens there. But Nick Foles really struggled in the preseason so far this year. But NFL gets underway Thursday night. College football this weekend. Exciting to get the college football season underway. And it's fall now. It's fall. Bring on the football as we're starting to gear up college pro football next weekend, and plenty of high school football left. And we're going to bring a whole lot to you here on YHC and give you a little peek to our upcoming schedule going forward. Next week, September 7th, we've got St. Genevieve at Kennett. We're going to bring that live to you here on Channel 21, YHCTV.com, and Facebook Live. And we'll also be down in Portageville for Portageville's home opener They got their first home game of the year, and we're going to bring that live on the website at yhctv.com. Malden versus Portageville. Malden yet to get a win. Portageville got a win this week. Should be a good matchup at Vic Reeves Athletic Field in Portageville. And we're going to bring that live on our website at yhctv.com. And just to look ahead to the next week, September 14th, Crothersville at Kennett. We'll bring that live to you here on Channel 21, and also Rector at Piggott. That'll be live on the website at yhctv.com. We had a little trouble last night with our live broadcast here at Dexter. Network was down. We had a little modem issue, and I got it up for the second half. Apologize for not bringing that first half. And down in Piggott, the network down there was totally down, so we weren't able to bring that at all on a live basis down in Piggott, but I've been told it's going to be ready for the next game. That'll be in a couple weeks down in Piggott. So we got 5 remaining games down in Piggott, and they'll all be live. Looking forward to bringing those live broadcasts online from Piggott at Parker Field. And we've got, that's all we got for today. That's all we got for today. And Cardinals off another big win. Chris Carpenter hit his 35th home run of the year last night. And another win for the Cardinals over the Reds. Give a quick update as they enter into the weekend. The Cardinals won 12-5 over the Reds Friday night. And today, here on Saturday, back in action with the Reds. 6:15 start in St. Louis. Ponce de Leon gets the start for the Cardinals. He's got no wins, no losses, 2.08 ERA, taking on Castillo for the Reds, 7-11 with a 5.07 ERA. And taking a look at the standings, Cardinals they gained a game on the Chicago Cubs last night, so they're 3.5 back of the division lead in the Central Division. And the wild card, they're hanging on to that first wild card spot. They're still a half game up on the Milwaukee Brewers. So St. Louis playing very well here over the last few weeks, but Milwaukee's kept pace right there with the Cardinals. They've remained right there behind the Cardinals in that wild card, and even right behind them in the Central Division, and a half game back of that first wild card spot. But the Brewers do hold that second wild card spot over the Dodgers by 2.5 games. So Cardinals are 2.5 games up, or actually 3 games. They're 3 games up in a wild card spot. So a 3-game cushion, possessing a wild card spot in the National League coming into the last month now. They're playing the best ball they have all year. Hopefully they can sustain that going forward through the getting into the playoffs come October. So it's been a great stretch for the Cardinals, and now it's time to go see them. Early in the year, not so much, but they're playing the best ball of the year, and hopefully they can make the playoffs and hopefully contend for that Central Division in the National League. And that's all we've got for you for today. And we appreciate you for tuning in as always. And we'll be here each Saturday live at 10 a.m. right here on Channel 21, yhctv.com, and Facebook Live. And we'll see you each Saturday. And until next time, I'm Tyler Wagner. Have yourself a great Labor Day weekend. Take care, everyone.